everybody and their neighbor. Welcome back to Gear and Gigs. So glad you guys could stop by today. I have Stacy Venn, one of my Gear and Gigs compatriots, in the studio with me. How you doing, Stace?
Doing good. How you doing, Jet?
Well, I totally lied. You're not in the studio with me, are you? You're in the state, though. He's coming virtually like
I'm only like 10 miles away.
Just so close to being in the studio, but he's in his own facility, and I'm here in your home base of podcasting and YouTube channeling. So glad you guys could come by. We're going to do something kind of cool today. We're going to, as we've been trying to do for the last few episodes, maybe convince old Stacy there to maybe pick out a pedal or two. He's a non-pedal guy. He's not, what's his phrase? He's not a pedal denier, but he's a pedal shunner. Skeptic. There you go. Pedal skeptic. So we're going to see if we can unskepticize him. Yeah. Just run with that.
That's been good, and you have a pretty good track record. I've actually ordered a couple.
Oh my goodness, we've had breakthroughs. Yes, people. All right, well, let's see what we can do today, because I'm pulling on his heartstrings again. Lately we did that with little Danish Pete, and we know he likes Andertons. We know he likes Chappers. Well, guess what? Today we've got snake oil pedals. We've got two snake oil pedals. We've got the Marvellous Engine and the Very Thing, which, it's hard to argue that it's called the Very Thing. So that's already
great names.
Yeah, great names in their favor. So this is put out by Rob Chapman, and I think in affiliation, if I'm not mistaken, could be, but I think with Andertons as well. Love those guys, love you guys, and let's see if we love your pedals. Let's take a look. So the Very Thing is a bit of a boost overdrive sort of a situation, I guess I would classify it as, whereas the Marvellous Engine is, dare I say, more of a distortion. I'm going to go past overdrive on that one. I think it's actually more of a distortion, but we'll let you decide, because that's where's the crossover from overdrive and distortion? Where is that line? It's really in the eye of the beholder, I guess. So let's see what we think. But I think that's kind of how they're looking at it. Is that kind of a format and that kind of a setup where they can work together or individually. They're very lightweight pedals. As you can see, they are all metal. They look very, very heavy duty, but they're actually, in fact, extremely light if you don't have a battery in them. We're running them on regular 9-volt wall wart power today. We're going to be going straight through them in series, because they were kind of meant to work together here, so we're going to do that, but we will individually review them. And then we're going over into our 2-Rock Studio 35 Pro, coming out of a 2-Rock cabinet with a 2-Rock speaker. So that should be a good sound. We've got it mic'd up with a tube mic, as you can see. We're running it through our standard old setting on the Focusrite Liquid channel, which is a Neve desk simulation for the preamp, and then we're going into our Digico board for the A to Ds, and a touch of reverb today from there. I could get the reverb out of the 2-Rock, but I'm going to get it out of the board. And we're going straight into Zoom. We're not going into any DAWs or anything else, so there's no post-processing. Everything is basically the way we're hearing it is the way you're going to hear it. The guitar I'm going to use today is a double Esquire, a custom double Esquire from Fender. It's a hollow, or semi-hollow. It's actually a roasted pine body, which is interesting. It's a roasted pine body. It's got custom shop pickups. It's got kind of a V-shaped neck, and clearly, as you can see, it's relicked. It also has a reverse angled telly pickup, which is kind of cool. And it's got Esquire wiring, so we can get some interesting flavors by dialing in the neck pickup as opposed to just having it on or off. So I actually got some cool things we can do with that. It's also got a blow position, which bypasses the tone, so we can hear what that sounds like if we want to. Very lightweight, and it's in the silver paisley, which is always hard to beat. This is a NAMM show special, by the way, limited edition, in case you're interested. All right, so let's establish our dry tone first, get an idea what that sounds like in the various pickup positions, and then we'll dive into the pickups. When you see me reaching over here, I'm turning off this microphone. I've got a microphone up here. That's just to catch my voice here, but it would pick up the amp in the same room, so I'm going to go ahead and turn that off so we only hear the microphone that's in front of the amp. Here's our tone. nice, normal, basic sort of a tone here to get us started. Let's start with the very thing, and we'll go up from there. So I'm going to turn it on,
cool.
all knobs down. We've got a gain, we've got a volume, and we've got a tone. And I'd like to take just a moment before we get started and talk about the look of these pedals, because they're really not like any other pedals that I've seen. They've got that, old-timey snake oil salesman kind of a look with, all kinds of cool little slogans on there. But the raised metalwork and the copper-looking knobs and the cases, just a very nice presentation. Really, really cool. Makes you feel very special, like a sense of occasion as you pull them out and plug them in. So it's, a distortion plus is great, but it doesn't give you, the flutters when you pull it out. But this is like, ooh, look at that. Ooh. You almost want to wear the thing as a belt buckle or something. It's just cool. So kudos to whomsoever designed this. I got to believe Chappers had a lot to do with that. It seems like.
Trussard.
Yeah. It looks very much like a Trussard guitar, doesn't it? Yeah. Yeah, very sweet, very sweet. Well done. Okay, so let's style up the very thing. I'll get some level first to kind of get match levels, and then we'll go from there. So I've got everything about 9 o'clock right now. Already, I'm kind of digging it. It's got a nice kind of ampy, sort of open grain sort of sound. It doesn't sound full of artifice, to use the kind of terminology he would put on his pedal. Okay, so that's taken the gain up to about 3 o'clock. And so what do you think so far? What's your thoughts?
Yeah, that's pretty usable. I mean, it gives it a good kind of a crunchy tone. That's nice.
I like how the crunch doesn't die off right away, like a lot of pedals do, where you get the, it goes the whole time. Luckily, it sounds better than just, the guttural sounds I'm making, but you understand what I'm trying to say, I think.
Yeah. It does sound better than throat clearing, which so far so good.
I think that's their slogan. The very thing, way better than throat clearing.
Throat clearing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think maybe they started there. They might have rounded that off later to something more, I don't know,
Well, yeah.
professional and intelligent. But they started, I think, right around there. Okay.
They're British.
They're British. I'm gonna. Well, actually, Chappers lives in Malta now. So
Malta, so they're Maltish.
I think that's Maltese, not Maltish. I think.
Well, he's Chappers in Malta, so he's Maltish.
I see. Okay. All right. We're gonna go with that. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, he'll get it.
Yeah. Here's a picture of me and Rob. Yeah,
There you go.
There we are together. Yeah, I'm so sorry, Rob. I apologize.
Right.
I don't control him. He's 10 miles away. Man.
That's right.
If he was here, it'd be a different story. But I'm going to mess with the tone now. I'm going to roll the gain back to maybe 12 o'clock, right? But I'm going to mess with the tone and see what that does.
Alrighty.
pretty snappy. It's got quite a bit of a snap to it, doesn't it?
Well, yeah, it seems, one of the things I learned from you is turning, you know, dialing in an amp sound. You just, turn things until it just really sounds right and stop. Don't, That seems kind of like what that pedal is, because as you were dialing it, there's a spot that was really sweet.
Yeah, yeah.
And
Where it sounded like the very thing.
yeah, the very thing. Well, that sounds pretty darn cool.
Yeah, so that I ended up in that last setting. I've got the tone at about 2 o'clock. I've got the gain at about 10:30, 10:40, somewhere in there, and the level just set to match. And yeah, it had a lot of clarity, even on the super low notes. Super a lot of clarity, but easy, fun to play. Nice, nice. Okay, let's switch over to the Marvellous Engine. Let's take a look at that. So here's our dry sound again, and then I'll dial that up. On this one, by the way, we have the addition of a voice control. So we'll end up seeing what that does. For now, I'll leave it fully counterclockwise, and then after we get kind of a setting, I'll roll that in. Well, that's just fun to play. That's satisfying. It's the grain of the distortion seems, this of course being the international symbol for grain of distortion, sounds much tighter to me, more modern and more aggressive. What do you think?
Yeah, exactly. I think that the other one is more of a, you could set it and use it for, rhythm or some lead, and then this one looks like you could punch it in and, uh, you know, take you over the top a little bit. So,
I would agree. I would agree. This one's for single note lines. It's definitely more powerful and smoother and sustainier and that sort of thing. So let me mess with it with a different pickup position. I'll mess with the controls a little bit, and then after that I'll come back, talk for a second, and we'll try that voice control.
all right.
Okay, you don't often get to hear a telly sing quite like that. That's kind of, especially a hollow one. That's pretty cool. At first, I had the level control all the way up, which may have overblown things. My other looked down at my preamp here, and it seemed to be screaming red things at me. But it in the room, and I could feel it in the room. It felt real good. And then I rolled the level down, and then I brought the gain itself up, and that's what we heard there at the end, where I started getting that kind of sustain. I'm going to set it back to more middle levels on things now, and we'll mess with that voice control.
Yeah, well, it seemed to take out the tubbiness.
Oh, interesting. I didn't try it with the
So
neck pickup. Let me try that with the neck pickup, and I'll see if I can kind. I was running the extremes. Let me see if I can find a nice middle ground with the neck pickup. It does. It takes away the tubbiness, gives you some of your top end, your pick attack back, almost that pillow being removed from the speakers thing.
the thing that I seems like could get out of these pedals that I really mostly just use the guitar, the volume and tone to kind of dial in a sound for or
Rebel.
yeah, well, to if you just roll off the volume down to, 3 or 4 for the chorus or for the verses, and then roll it on up to the little more for the choruses, and then the full stop for solos. I was wondering if it reacts well to volume.
Oh, well, good idea. Let's find out. In fact, let's just the very thing did. I did roll that down and get some good results. But let's go back and forth and see how it sounds
Okay.
rolling the pickup down. Yeah, let's try that. It seems to me the way the gain structure is that the one with the more gain actually works a little bit better without so much volume coming from the guitar than the very thing.
Well, and then I guess, the thing is it is a pedal, so you can turn it off, right? And
You
get
can
the
turn it
amp
off.
sound. Then you have basically a few levels versus just the amp. You can use that to kick into the,
Essentially making it a three-channel amp by having these two and a clean amp. And
right.
that's one of the things that being an amp guy, an amp, a guitar guy, you can control a lot if you set your amp for your solo sound and back off with the volume on your guitar. And even if you have a two-channel amp where you have a distortion and a clean, so you don't
Right,
have to do
right.
that necessarily and can dial in your in-between sounds perhaps, but you've got your solo sound, your clean sound. But there's an awful lot of professional players and traveling professional players especially where they can't always take their amp head. They've got to rely on somebody
Yeah,
providing
what's
something
there?
when they get
Right.
there. And so famously, Steve Vai has advised get your tone from pedals so that way you can get any clean amp basically at the end and plug into it and at least know your core sound is going to be there and what you can send to the front is going to be your basic tone. So there's a two-sided story for how to think about that, and I totally understand the amp purist and getting the tone, and many times in the studio that's exactly what we do. If we're going for a killer amp tone, we just dial up a killer amp tone. Sometimes you want the gain coming from in front because the amp acts differently being hit with gain than it does dialing up its gain sometimes. So sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, and it depends on the match. In this particular case, I think both these pedals really work very, very well with the two rock and this guitar, it's kind of a quieter guitar. It's not hot pickups. It's hollow. It doesn't have a lot of oomph behind it. It's very lightweight. I think the thing weighs like 5 pounds. So it I think benefits from a little hardware on the front end there. Well, we
Yeah.
haven't tried them together. We need to
Okay.
try them together. I
All
think
right.
that's going to be interesting. So I'm gonna take them back down to a zero level on all knobs, and then create a sound starting with the very thing, creating kind of a not going as far as I would go with it normally, keeping it back, and then adding in the Marvellous Engine and see what happens. It gets quite a bit grainier. It's a much more modern thing, I think, when you do that. I think it gets more
Yeah.
responsive to the volume control. It's like you have more to make up that way, so you can kind of do a little bit more with it. But I do find it a little bit more out of control than I might have I've hoped for. Now, we were going Marvelous Engine into the very thing, right?
Oh,
And
okay.
the softer one after. Let's reverse the order of those and see what happens there. All right, we're back in the room. Got these reversed now, so we're going to be going into the very thing and then into the Marvelous Engine, which probably was the original intent. I'm assuming that they wanted the softer one or the less gainy one first, but not necessarily, because sometimes a boost after a distortion is just, well, the very thing. But in this case, we're going to try it that way. So running into the very thing first and then into the Marvelous Engine. I'm sorry, but that thing just sounds so pleasant. I really like that distortion. It feels very different in this order. I'm surprised at how different it feels than the other way. The grain, the grain is tighter. Um, Overall, feels much more modern. Feels more in control. But it feels like I have more gain on tap than I had the other way. It feels more supple under the fingers. So the impedances or whatever just seem right. They feel real good. But it's a super, I mean, you could go total metal with that, I think. You can get pretty darn heavy. I mean, that's, we're playing a hollow Esquire. It sounds, like,
Yeah.
like thrash. So it's pretty serious on the capabilities of gain. What'd you think with it in this order?
I like the other order, I think, a little better. I mean, I would probably, if I was going to use it as like a gain staging thing. I don't know if that's the right term, but
Sure.
where you have your just my amp, nothing else, and then you have another level with just the first pedal. I think
Very thing.
the gray one, yeah, the very thing, and then you get the other level with the
The Marvelous
third
Engine.
one.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, and actually you got four because you could just do uh, well, you could just do the Marvelous Engine alone, and you can do the Marvelous Engine with the other one. So,
That's true. I think I do prefer them individually. I tend to do that if I've got pedals that have this much gain capability, I'm probably going to run them at their optimum setting and then just use them individually. But you're right, since they can layer nicely and play with each other pretty good, that you could just like adding a fourth channel there. So that's very cool. The individual level controls really allow you to get your match level, which is great because sometimes that's hard to get the right amount of gain and the right amount of level. And
yeah,
the clarity and tone controls, the voice, I should say, but I'm thinking of it as clarity. They help to me a lot, depending on what guitar you're going to play. If I picked up a Les Paul, I would definitely dial more of that in. And with this, I can back it off. With a Strat, I'm thinking I would need even less. So really like that as far as being able to match volumes, match EQs from a guitar standpoint, get anywhere from a very bluesy kind of a gain with both of these all the way up to, as much gain as you could possibly handle, I would think. I mean, I haven't maxed it out. If I max it out, it's just so much gain. It would just, for me, it would be unplayable,
Yeah.
especially with this guitar. But, for Ingve, it would probably be the perfect amount. I don't know. But
Yeah.
I'm pretty impressed. Pretty inexpensive as distortion pedals go. As I said, they feel wonderful to the hand. They look great to the eye. They look good on a pedal board. They look good next to each other. I don't know. I'm thinking thumbs up. What do you think of Pedal Skeptic?
Well, they're very nice. Definitely keep the amp flavor.
That's true.
But
They
give
really
it
didn't change the flavor. That's a good point. They didn't sound that much different when we kicked it in than the raw tone. Good point.
than that. And if you have only a clean amp, I think it'd be very usable to help you get make it through the whole night with the clean amp, and which is the Steve Vai recommendation, right? And who can
That's
go
the
wrong with a Steve Vai
the official
recommendation?
approval from the Tone Hut. So,
Right.
so,
Right.
so have we sold you the pedal?
Probably not really, because they're awesome and all, but I would probably take the first one, the
Very thing.
the alt very thing, right? That one is way more usable to me, it seems like, than just the kind of the one that's a little more distortion.
So maybe one out of two then, huh?
Yeah, I would probably
Okay.
take the very thing.
All right. Well, I'm going to count that as a victory, and I'm sure Rob Chapman would count that as a victory too. And I like them both. I'm going to go ahead and keep them both.
Oh, okay.
What would have
Well, and I can actually use them when I'm
That's
there.
the nice thing. It's the right ear for when you record in the studio. Yeah. Well,
Right.
keep them for gear and gigs because I like them, and they may show up again later in other shows. But for now, very glad to have had the opportunity to check it out with my buddy Stace, who gives it
All
a
right.
50% thumbs up. So I'm going to call that a thumb sideways. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's not bad for him. That's like a 2 screaming thumbs up for most people.
Right. There you go.
Well, thanks for joining us, everybody. Hope you learned something. Hope you enjoyed this. Please leave comments. Please like, subscribe, all that housekeeping stuff that us YouTube creators are supposed to say. And, let us know if there's a show you'd like us to do. We'll figure out how to do that for you. In the meantime,
All right.
I'm Jet Stone, and for Stacy Venn, we'll see you next time on Gear and Gigs.
Hey, thank you, Jet.
Thanks everybody for joining us for another episode of Gear and Gigs. Please take a moment to like and subscribe to the channel. And don't forget to check us out on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and of course YouTube. Until next time, this is Jet Stone saying, take it easy.